What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Ask a CISSP. So this is the Thursday episode of The Other Side of the Firewall, where we talk about the latest and greatest in cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who've made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. Speaking of which, we have Rebekah Skeete from BlackGirlsHack. So thank you very much for jumping on the call with me to discuss what the organization is, what it does, and then who you are and what you do in the organization, right? So this is really about you and about the organization. So what I like to say is I like to come in unprepared so we can have that first conversation. I can learn a lot about you as though I'm one of the listeners. And then just I'm very interested in the organization and your ongoing initiatives. Without further ado, if you could please introduce yourself and a little bit about your background.
Hello, hello. My name is Rebekah Skeete, as you said. I always feel awkward when it's introducing myself because it's like, hi, it's me. I'm a nerd. I don't know. I like speaking, and sometimes people like hearing what I have to say. So thank you for everyone having me on the show,
Oh,
and
absolutely.
for anyone else that would listen after this is posted. As you mentioned, I am COO for Black Girls Hack. It is my honor and privilege to represent the org on various opportunities, and had to run and change my shirt real quick and change my hat, make sure I didn't look too dusty for the call. But yeah, as you mentioned, I'm the COO. I just updated my blurb the other day of like because people ask, what do you do as a COO? And I'm like, look, I'm still figuring it out myself. But the overall idea is to institute processes and procedures that help us efficiently and effectively fulfill our mission. That's my little elevator pitch. I like the way it sounds, and more or less it, hits what we do there.
No,
Um,
absolutely. And
yeah.
then I guess your other job, right? So because being a CEO of anything has to
hmm
be a full-time job to begin
hmm
with. What's your other full-time job as a security engineer?
As you mentioned, my other job is a security engineer for Shellman. I enjoy it. I like working there enough that I'm proud to say where I work whenever I have these opportunities. And I love the fact that both organizations respect and value my input in both. So I also would, I guess, take that time to say, while they support me, all of my comments and feedback are mine and not reflective of the organization. You got to add that little blurb in there just in case
Which I never do. Yeah, you bring up a good point. I never
yeah.
do that.
It's like I like working there, and I'm not trying to
Right.
say anything that's going to jeopardize it. They'll be like, a mysterious one-on-one pops up on my calendar, and they're like, Rebekah, we got to talk to you. You're saying too much and whatever. But no, they've been fantastic and supportive. It's just, I do tend to rant and rave sometimes, and I just want to make sure that folks know that those opinions are mine.
No, that's awesome. So, uh, how long have you been with the organization? How long have you been with Black Girls Hack?
Uh, was it 4 years now? Which is fantastic because I was one of the OG. I don't say triple OGs, but I'm not gonna insinuate any gangster information. But yeah, been there for about 4 years now, I think. And I've been COO for 3.5 of the years. So it's been a while. I should be able to just belt that out. But it
It
seems like
flies
forever.
when
It
you're
does.
having fun, right?
On strong eagle wings, it
Right.
flies. And yes, it is fun. So much fun. It's work, but fun.
Why Black Girls Hack? So what was the inception like? So what was the idea to create this organization, and why the need for a specific organization like Black Girls Hack?
Okay, I'm glad that you gave context for the why because my first response, why Black Girls Heck? Why not? Um, so it started, Tanisha Martin is our founder, and she's fantastic. And it was originally just tracking her journey. She wanted to become a pen tester, and there's so much, opportunities and resources and everything else. But then it's also kind of like, okay, so where do I start? What do I do? Let me track this and share with the world abroad. And it started as an Instagram page, and she was sharing her progress, and it kind of grew organically from there. And so I feel like she felt the pull, the call, the necessity to be a support for others because, it was something that she benefited from or could have benefited from. So she wanted to be that resource for other people. And there were enough of us who, you know, had similar thought, idea, desire, that it grew from there. And most of us, we kind of like flocked because there was just general information that we were interested in. We were trying to advance in the field. And then it was like, hey, can't do this by myself. Y'all gonna help me or what? And so, thankfully, enough of us were like, yeah, we definitely want to support however we can. And not to say that she didn't have a core group when she started already who believed in her and the mission. It's just as it has grown, so has the support as far as volunteers and leadership, etc.
No, I think that's perfectly. I think you phrased it and you put it together, in a perfect package. Because yes, like it's definitely something that's necessary, and I'm so happy to finally have made contact with somebody from the organization. Not that I've reached out or anything like that. I
Hmm.
was still. Here's the thing, right? So you build a platform where you want to highlight people of color and to elevate the space.
Hmm.
Uh, but there's some of that. What's the term? I always lose the term when I'm trying to say it. Like when you don't really feel comfortable, like you feel like you're not big enough, or
Mm.
what is the word I'm looking for? It's a phrase for it. Um, it'll come back to me later.
Like
So
imposter syndrome?
there it is. Thank you. I don't know
Okay.
why it's in my head, and then as soon as I go to say it, it always it's fleeting. It goes away. So there's a little bit of that, right? So before I talk to any of the major orgs,
Yeah.
I was like, man, I got to get bigger. I got to make
Wait a
sure
minute.
I have
You
my
felt
stuff
that way about
together.
reaching out to us?
Yeah, yeah. So when I saw
Okay.
you reach out to me, I was like, yeah, I'm in.
You're important now. No, you always were.
Well,
That's
it's just
interesting to hear because
yeah.
we're all like, who are we?
No,
But
it's
yay.
a great organization, and I see you guys doing some really big things in the community,
Hmm.
especially when it comes to like so. I live in the suburbs now, right? I've classed it up a little bit. I've been working on it since I retired,
Yeah.
and they have programs here like Code Ninjas and things like that. So my youngest is interested and he goes to it, and there are people of color there, but it's different demographics, right? You
Hmm.
have the kids who their parents are from India, they're Hispanic or they're Asian. There's only like two black children, like two black boys and no
Hmm.
girls. At
Hmm.
least not yet on the docket, right? So like there's a huge need for it in the community.
Hmm.
So I see you guys doing such a good job with it. I'm just like, man, they're killing it right now. So let me step my game up and I'm hit them up.
Ideal. Ideal. Thank you. We
So
do what we can do,
mhm,
you know?
yeah, but yeah, I always hear about you guys, the WeSys, as well
Hmm.
as Black Cybersecurity. Like those are like the big three. But there's obviously a bunch of other communities as well. But those are the
Hmm.
ones that are in my silo, right? So I was just like, yeah,
Hmm.
once I get my weight up, I'll hit them up. But you hit me up, and I was like, yes, I can't
You were
wait
the
to talk to
chosen
them.
one.
Yeah,
Yes.
I appreciate
Ideal.
it. But
I'm glad
uh,
that, as you
no, go ahead.
mentioned, that was a pretty diverse group of people that your children are associated with. Granted, obviously we hope that there's more black girls, but I'm
Right.
glad that at least there's a little bit of a melting pot there already, for them to have some diverse perspectives.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like this area, because I'm in Florida, right? So in Wesley
Hmm.
Chapel. So this area was very rural, probably a decade ago, right? I've only
Hmm.
been here for like 8 years or so. So I saw it when they started to break ground and build things.
Hmm.
But with that came new communities, right? Because when you think of Florida and Florida man and things of that nature, it's not very diverse until you get out to like Miami, and that's when it
Hmm.
starts to, you start to have a booming Hispanic population. But there's more black people here than ever before, but it's still we're such a small pocket, right?
Hmm.
Compared to everybody else. So, um, but I say that to say like organizations like yours, as well as the other ones that I've named, and there's so many more, are really important in that space, just because there's just not a lot of us, right? So
Hmm.
again, that's the reason for the podcast. So I'm glad the
Yeah.
two of those things were able to come together. So with that, right, you guys have grown exponentially. You guys are
Hmm.
doing really big things within the community. What surprises have come out of it, right? Because you have this idea, right? Like you guys make an organization or you come together and it's like children. You just don't
Hmm.
know how they're going to grow up, right? So how has it expanded in ways you didn't foresee previously?
That's a good question. And it's a interesting one for response. As far as just general surprises, you saying, "Hey, I've been seeing you all, but needed to get my game up to reach out."
I had to get
That's
my
a
weight up.
surprise to me. I'm like, okay. But then it's also confirmation that this is what we signed up for. That's the whole point. A lot of times when people ask, why we chose the name Black Girls Hack, granted, the name was Black Girls Hack before I joined. But I always tell people it's kind of like a clarion call. It's like the bat signal. We're here, just the sign of existence of, hey, you in Florida who feel like you're the only or the few or what have you. Here's your bat signal to know that there are a band of misfits or whatever that exist other places who are like you. And some of them who are not, because even then we're not a monolith, and so there's some differences amongst us. But that surprises me, but then also reassures me that we're on the right path because what we sought out to do is being accomplished. I think the other thing that's, I guess, what surprises me is how much work is involved. And I don't mean that in like a negative or plaintive, woe is me kind of way, but in a realistic, for those who seek to do similar, plan accordingly kind of way. It's still a business. And there are some things that I think we're like, hey, well, we're out here to do good. People are going to support and it's going to be easy. I don't know why anybody would think that, but there is a lot of work involved. That's the surprising part. Like how many nuanced things and, well, if you do this and this impacts that and the other, and I won't go into details there, but the level of work has been a surprise. It's not something to shy away from, and it's not once experience is like, hey, on second thought, I'm not doing this anymore, even though I do have those passing thoughts, I'll be honest. It hasn't been enough to make me actually like fold in and say I quit. But I think that's important. Even when I'm currently in a program for women entrepreneurs,
Okay.
and there's so many things that are seemingly small that you don't even necessarily consider. And so as far as getting your ducks in a row and everything else, I think that part has been the surprise. And the fact that in the beginning, Tanisha was doing so much of it on her own, that surprises me too. Uh, because earlier this year, she was out for a few weeks for surgery, a medical situation, and she was very much, you're the captain now, here are the reins, do it. And I was like, hey, oh, wait. I knew there was a lot going on because I was active. It's not like I wasn't, pulling my weight or doing work or anything. But to take on some of the things that she had as well, it's a lot. And people are pulling from all different angles and corners and sides. And yeah. Uh, and you would think too, after 2020 and everyone saying how much they care about diversity and equity and inclusion, that it wouldn't be as much of an uphill climb at times, and always having to prove the value and necessity and the worthiness, for lack of a better term, of us and of the organization. That is a bit of a surprise. But then it's also been a surprise, converse to that is also true. There's so many people who are so excited to just help. And they're like, oh, what are you doing? How can I help you? How can I partner? There's this rapper, I don't know, Toby Nwigwe. I don't know if you've heard of him, but
Yes.
oh, awesome.
Yeah.
So he has a
During the
quote.
pandemic. Yeah. Like
Yeah,
that's why I started to really hear him is during the pandemic. Yeah,
right,
actual
because he did
lyricist, right?
those Sunday
Yeah.
things. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
In one of his songs, I think it's Cage Bird or something, but he said, you'd be surprised how many people will help you when they see you out of your car and like pushing it. Like if a car broke down on the side of the road, when people see you pushing the car, you'd be surprised how many people come and help you because they want to assist. That has also been a positive surprise that there have been so many people who are like, hey, I agree with you. We need more diversity in the field. We like what you're doing. We were in one call where Tanisha started to give the pitch of BGH and what we do. And the sponsor was like, you don't need to sell me. I'm here to support you. I've already seen what you are
More to do.
doing and I want to help.
Mhm.
That has been a fantastic surprise. And more often than not, that's been the experience of people trying to help on whatever level that they're at. And granted, it's great whenever you have the big name sponsors or whatever. Definitely not pushing that away. As a matter of fact, feel free, more of you. But it's also fantastic to see when there are the people who are like, hey, is there a minimum donation? I don't have buku bucks or whatever else, but I would at least want to give like a $5 here or a recurring thing. That is one, welcomed and appreciated, because I think those people can't help but be successful. And if they're already trying to commit and be involved on the level that they are, as they advance, they'll want to do the same. And even if they didn't, even if it was, Grandma Susie or whatever else and has already hit where she is with her career, and that's what she submits. The fact that we have presented ourselves and sustained being the kind of organization that people who would have $5 to give would want to give it to us, that's encouraging. And that positively surprises me as well.
Yeah, that's amazing, and that's so good to hear because in our current climate, right, things are getting
Hmm.
kind of weird. Where yes, there was a big rush to be supportive. Diversity, equity, and inclusion was being in business, and then it just swung kind of the other way in some
Hmm.
businesses where they're like, "This is the first thing we need to cut." Like, if we're going
Hmm.
to save money, we're going to save money right here. So
They're like,
it's
psych, take it
yeah.
back.
So that's a
Mm,
little disheartening, right?
yeah.
Especially when cyber does have that huge vacuum of lack of diversity,
Hmm.
and that's a reason for the podcast. I always tell the story. I was trapped in a hotel room during the pandemic because I had
Mm,
crossed from the States to Turkey was my next assignment, and
hmm.
Turkey wasn't playing any games. Right, you leave straight from the terminal, you go straight to your hotel. Do not leave that room for two
Hmm.
weeks. In an effort to combat, unlike Florida, Florida's like, no, we're open.
We ain't never
Let's COVID.
closed. Stay
Yeah.
open. Yeah.
But yeah, so when I arrived, I was kind of bouncing off the walls, and it was like I'm gonna talk to some friends, and those friends are gonna be, also cybersecurity, and then it just kept evolving from there. Like my friends who are also, black men in the field, we have decades of experience. Let's do, conversation because this is not something you see a lot of. And then it was like, well, we could turn it into a platform, and then it just kept going from there, right?
Hmm.
Um, and there was sometimes after where I started getting kind of disheartened because it was a big boom. It was like everybody is trying to support, like this is great, and then you start to see it the other way around. So it's good to
Hmm.
see that you're still seeing support out there. Not to say I'm not, but it's
Hmm.
just that a lot of the articles and things that you read, there's a lot of bigger brands. They're kind of like, that's kind of a poisonous word, right? To a
Hmm.
certain extent. Let's call it something else, or let's pivot, or let's help our bottom line by getting rid of this section first. So if someone wanted to help, whether it be through donation or their time, is it just a matter of going to the site and then trying to interact with Black Girls Hack, or what's the best way for them to reach you if they want to support in some sort of way?
Okay. Yes, to donate and to connect, the website I would say is a good first stop because there are a lot of questions that some people have that can be answered if they go to the website. But if you prefer to reach out to one of us directly, you definitely can. I always tell people feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. If I see it, I'll answer it. If I don't, charge to my head, not my heart. Your girl is busy. But yeah, you can do that. You can email us at info@blackgirlshack.org, and we can plug you in with. I just recently actually updated one sheeter that can kind of just forward that information as far as mentorship, volunteer, et cetera, et cetera. So if you'd like that one pager, you can feel free. Again, info@blackgirlshack.org, and we can get that to you. And then if it's to donate money, yes, please. That's also through the website. There's a donate now option, and there's flexibility to where if there's a specific thing that's near and dear to your heart, you can pledge those dollars specifically to that. Or if it's just, hey, I heard from the chief operating officer, so I want to donate to operations. Thank you. You can feel free to do that as well. And we're a volunteer organization, so those dollars go towards supporting the mission, our training programs. Like we have SquadCon coming up, we have a scholarship that's paying for folks for those who've applied because it's limited by resource. But those scholarships cover the flight, hotel, and registration for the conference as well. We try to be good stewards of the money that people donate.
Sounds like one stop shop.
Hmm.
So you led right. So perfect segue. Thank you. So
You're
what
welcome.
what what current initiatives do you have going on, and then that'll lead us into SquadCon. So what is Black Girls Hack currently doing that if somebody wanted to register for it, or they wanted to jump into it, or it's a mid-flight and you need support, like what are
Hmm.
those things that you're currently doing, and then we'll go on to SquadCon and what that is.
Okay, sure. So one of the things that I'll start with that I don't always talk about, but brings me joy, is we have a monthly book club. some of the books that we discussed, like we did Art of Invisibility. Right now it's Fancy Bear Goes Fishing. That's the book for June. We did The Phoenix Project. We did Tanisha's book. She co-authored a book with a few other ladies, BWICC, Black Women in Cyber Collective. I believe that's what it stands for. So at the heart of it, it's obviously it's a book club. You discuss the book. But beyond that, what I love about it is the opportunity for us to congregate and discuss and just be and talk. And I love how the conversations like organically become more. Folks talk about their day, they talk about what work has been like, and it at first I was like it devolves, but I think it evolves into a vent session where people can just unburden. And I think that's important in general for any of us. Mental health is
Absolutely.
important, but definitely for people in this field because sometimes it is a beatdown. And there are a few folks who are the victims of burnout and any opportunity that we can provide. So, like, yes, we provide resources. We have weekly trainings. We have a cohort and things of that nature. There are opportunities to enhance and sharpen technical skill, and that's very important, especially for the assumption a lot of times when people say diversity, equity, inclusion, then people assume, oh, you want to give unqualified people the opportunity. No.
So that they can start.
Qualifications.
And,
Mm. So technical skill and acumen matter to us,
right.
and we definitely do what we can to support. But then I think we also need to be mindful of the fact that we are full people, and it's not just what we do, how we can do it. It's also who we are, how we feel, how if we feel supported, and all of those things factor into us being even more productive. The happier and healthier I am, the more I'm willing to do, the more I have capacity and breath to do. When you're tired, I don't want to, I'm not going to read anything else, I'm not going to say anything else. You're just going to get the bare minimum out of me. But when I feel rested and restored, not only am I doing all that's required of me, I'm actively searching for new ways that I can engage, that I can learn. And so it's beneficial to organizations for people to have like holistic support. Um, and that's what I love about our organization is that that's what we're trying to do. And that's what, or, style, do or do not, there is no try. That is what we are doing. And so that's why I wanted to start with book club. So that's something that anyone can sign up and join. To become a member of Black Girls Hack is free. You can just go to the website and, sign in there. There is a paid tier. I mean, we're a nonprofit, so feel free to pay for that if you can, but it's not a requirement. And so there's, like I said, weekly trainings. I know we recently kicked off our blue team cohort. We also have a red team cohort going on. It's definitely a get in where you fit in kind of thing. On the events page, you'll see where there are actual time frames for those cohorts, but for the weekly training and things like that, you can jump in. I know the Shy Hat's doing, I think it was Python training, and that's not like if you don't get in at this time, you can't participate. So that's an opportunity there. So I'd say look at the events page, see what we have listed. We're still adding things as time goes on. And then if there's something that you have a question on that either you don't see enough detail in, let us know because you might not be the only one. And we could probably add context there. But right now, big initiative is Road to SquadCon, getting ready there. And for those who don't know, SquadCon is the conference hosted by Black Girls Hack. It is in August. It is the 6th through the 8th. The evening of the 6th is a game night. It's going to be like a kickoff, kickback, whichever term, whatever the cool kids are saying nowadays. And then the 7th and 8th are our conference content heavy days, and we'll have keynote speakers, a couple panels, some workshops. I was going to say one of which are cool, but all of which are cool. So yeah, you get all of everything that you like about a conference and none of the things that you don't,
And
depending
is
on
it
what the things that you don't.
right?
Yeah.
Is it all on site or is it hybrid? Like, how is it being presented?
It will be hybrid, yes, because we know that even though the conference is nominal cost, right now it's $100 for general admission, and that's for all 3 days. That's
Okay.
entrance to both days for the primary content, the kickoff event, and we're going to have a party on the evening of the 7th, and all of that is covered under the $100. Even with that, still understand that people who don't live in Vegas would have to fly and have a hotel or what have you. So we still want to make sure that we're adhering to our mission and lowering that the barrier to entry. And so part of the I guess push behind that is also making sure that we have some virtual and online content for those who aren't able to make the trip.
No, that's great, and especially yeah, because I forgot to ask up top where it was located. So yeah, Vegas.
Vegas.
Um, yeah, that's amazing actually. With that being said, so okay, so it's being presented in this hybrid scenario. If you can make it, great.
Hmm.
You've lowered the barrier of entry. And then what if somebody wanted to sponsor? I guess people to be able to go. Is it the same thing where they reach out to you and then say, hey, I want to put my money toward this or that?
Yes. First, if you want to sponsor, come through. Thank you. Please and thank you. Also, wait, backtrack. When I said Vegas, did you get the reference there?
I may have missed it.
Okay, so it wasn't Vegas itself, but like Sega. Anyway,
Oh.
am I was gonna say, am I aging myself by doing that? Probably.
No,
Probably.
you're
Okay.
not. You're not. I don't think like so. My youngest probably would never have heard that, like the Sega, like any of that.
Yeah. Well,
You know,
anyway.
and just not
Um,
on good timing. Not just Fortnite and Roblox. That's
right?
it.
The days of old, let me tell you. Um, I digress. Apologies. So, if you want to
That's fine.
sponsor people, feel free to do so. Yes, you can also email us at info@blackgirlshack.org. If you could go to the donate page and put that in the donation comments of, hey, I want to sponsor, so if it's $100 a pop, I want to sponsor 8 people's tickets. Here's $800, whatever. We could do it that way. Or if someone is wanting to, I mentioned the scholarship earlier. The scholarship amount is $2,500, and that's what covers the person's. So if they want to make sure that it's someone who's not in Vegas or whatever, and they want to cover flight, hotel, registration, and a stipend. So whatever is left over from those dollars, we give to the scholarship awardee or recipient, right, for them to use as needed. Then you can do that as well. No amount is too small. If someone's like, yeah, calm down with all that $2,500 business. Here's a C note. Thank you. We will accept that, and we will disperse that accordingly. I was there for a work conference, and my Lyft driver, we just started talking about like cybersecurity and stuff, and I was like, "Hey, have you heard of SquadCon?" No. Okay, well, da da da. And I was like, "Okay, well, because we had this conversation and you're excited about entering in the field, let me know when you show up, and we'll let you in." No, I mean I'm not gonna do that for everybody because, like I said, it's a nonprofit. We're still trying to. But the people who were like, hey, I can't, cover flight, hotel, and everything else, but I could cover someone's admission. Those are the kind of things that your donation can go towards, providing those opportunities for people who otherwise wouldn't have them.
No, that's great. And I'm glad I asked that question because I feel like there are a lot of people who they just don't know how to help. They're like, well, I'm not a pen tester. I can't
Hmm.
provide those type of skills.
Hmm.
However, I am either doing something adjacent to
Hmm.
IT and cybersecurity, or someone in my family is really interested, and it's not my thing, but it's their thing. So
Hmm.
he always tells people like, yeah, I can give to this, or I can provide that, or I can at least point somebody in the direction
Right.
of like, hey, you should do something for this organization. So
And we do
that's
still
amazing.
need mentors. So for people who are willing to donate their time, that's definitely appreciated. And for those who are willing to donate their skill. And it's like, hey, I'm a graphic designer. I don't know if I can help. Yeah, you can. Thank you. Come through. Or someone is like, hey, I'm not in cybersecurity at all. I just tripped and fell and found this podcast or video. I'm in marketing. Please come through because like I said, we're volunteer. We're a band of merry misfits because we care about the mission, and some of us have various skills or what have you, where we're kind of filling in because there's a need for it, but not because that's where our specific talents lie. So even if you aren't in cybersecurity at all, or and you're like, I don't think I'll fit, I promise you, we will, we can find a way. So one, thank you for the interest and the desire, but
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm sure there's someone who's going to listen to this and will come across this content like, yeah, I want to do something, or I want to help in some sort of way. Slight pivot.
okay.
I always ask this question for people who are currently either doing things in the field, or they are in education, training, higher learning, things of that nature,
Hmm.
such as Black Girls Hack. What do you see the next 5 years looking like? Because now we're off to the races, right? Like, so AI, everything, whether it even
Hmm.
makes sense. Like, a lot of this stuff is great. I'm now pro AI. I use it for a lot of the heavy to light lift,
Mhm.
like the whole range. I use it for anything I can get away with. When it when it comes to the podcast, right?
Mhm.
In your guys' space, what does that look like? What do you where do you see the next 5 years going for Black Girls Hack, and how will AI impact you, whether it be in a good or a bad way?
Good question. I wish I could see the future, one, because I'd buy a lottery ticket.
Yeah, I was gonna say, tell me the numbers.
Um, and then the other thing, and I feel like I have to say it, get that intrusive thought out so I can think about other things. When you said, okay, let's pivot, the first thing I thought was pivot from from Friends.
Yeah.
Okay. How is AI impacting us? One, I think I'm a little bit of a conspiracy theorist, me, Rebekah Skeete, the person. And so at first I was like, hey, okay, it's never the tool, it's some little mad genius who uses it evilly. And then we're like, why didn't you see this happening? And they're like, well, I only, anyway. Um, so I was more apprehensive than I was excited initially. Um, but now, kind of like how you said, I've embraced it in that it already exists. And I don't know. I think if the bad actors and the people who are unethical and whatever are going to utilize it for their dark powers, then we should definitely utilize it for good, to even the playing field. For BGH specifically, Tanisha, our founder, is currently getting her doctorate in, I always mess up. It's the impact of AI in training for Red Team. I think I might butcher that, but that's the general gist of what it is that she's doing. And so she started a podcast, and there are a couple episodes out. AI Things podcast, because I'm here to plug a friend always. AI Things podcast online, so check that out. And listening to a few of the things that she has said and the interviews that she has held. There was one with Marcus J. Carey, and he was so excited. Like the excitement was like oozing out of his pores about how cool AI is and how much of a force multiplier it is. And I couldn't help but catch some of that excitement. And then I was like, I need to shift my perspective. Maybe I've been looking at it wrong. Um, and so now I'm on that side right now. It's, hey, I'm gonna make the most of it. I'm gonna milk it. Now, granted, there still needs to be, structure and uh, it needs to be securely used or used securely. But I'm more like, okay, let's go. This is fun. It's a new opportunity. Let me be on the front of it instead of and proactive in what we can do instead of on the back end and being scared and it's coming whether I'm ready for it or not. For BGH specifically, we are currently working on a AI training cohort, just like how we're doing from zero to hero for red team and for blue team. We're going to do the same for AI because I think the best thing that we can have when there's a tool that's available is to learn how to use it. And so we want to make sure that our members are as prepared as possible. And so that's going to impact some of our training. From a operations and leadership standpoint, definitely looking at different ways that AI tools can be leveraged for nonprofits. I'm actually working on a paper about it. Because we talk about having limited resources, so why wouldn't we leverage something that can, fill the gap of where we've had it previously? It'll be interesting to see how that looks. I don't know. I'm also hesitant to be like, hey, this is the industry trend and where we're going, and then, things change or what have you. I think there might be some, because the pendulum is swinging so far where it's AI, everything in everything like that. I think it might swing back a little bit where people are a little pump the brakes. Maybe we did too much too soon, we overshared, but I don't think it's going to be a heavy pendulum swing. It'll just be a little bit, I think. Yeah. I don't know if that was a succinct enough answer for you
No, yeah,
there, but
no, and I caught you on your toes, right? Because I always ask the question, because everyone has a different response, right? It just
hmm
depends on your perspective and what you're currently doing. So I think all your answers were great, especially coming from the COO perspective.
hmm
Because the now I think about it, like for me, right? Because I'm an Army of One here,
hmm
for on the production side. Like I have a bunch of really cool co-hosts that bring the energy and bring their expertise. But when it comes to the artwork and the transcription and all that stuff,
hmm
it's been a godsend.
hmm
I would rather have a person
Yeah.
but I don't have the currency to
Mm-hmm.
pay said person.
Right.
So I have an AI stand-in, right? And I think that does work in a workflow type situation where you need someone, an agent, so to speak,
Mm-hmm.
for marketing or for copy or for editing or it's endless. It's always great to have a real human being. I don't think that'll ever be replaced.
Right.
I think if anything, the person who's going to be replaced is the person who does not embrace the
Mm-hmm.
AI, right? Because it is a tool. It's a better chisel. So I think you are completely in sync with my thoughts as well. Like I can't wait. I think two things though are really impactful. The one saying that your CEO is pursuing a doctorate in it. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Like anybody who's pursuing higher, like I stopped doing my master's and I may get another master's, but I don't think I'm going for my doctorate.
Listen, I
That's too
respect it.
much. That's too much.
Because it's full-time job
Yeah.
and full-time BGH and she's in school and there's still so many other things that does like, man.
Yeah,
But yeah.
it's too punishing for me. At least my current mindset. It's not for me. But
Mm-hmm.
when I hear people who are pursuing it and looking into it, like good for you. That's great. And we need more doctors, especially people of color in the field, just because it's just like even if it was like everyone were to get one, we still only have 13%, right? That's all where we are in the population. I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
not currently who have doctorates. So it's always great to see people pursuing that. But secondly, your paper, I'd be interested. Like, are you gonna publish it or are you gonna share it? Because I'd be interested in seeing how that, from your perspective, right, being a
Yeah.
COO, and how it's going to impact your workflow and everything else within operations. That would be interesting
Yeah. As
for
soon if
for
this
for
procrastination
those like me.
beast doesn't beat me and I actually finish it, then yeah, I sure will. I sure
Yeah,
will
because
publish
that
it.
because it's one thing to be in the seat and write the paper versus me sitting here trying to pontificate how I think it's going to impact. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not a COO like yourself, so it'd be good to see your perspective on it. So yeah, I
Pontificate
definitely
is
be
one of my
interested.
favorite words, by the way, but carry on.
Yeah, we use it a lot in the Air Force because we will sit there and just ramble, and you're like, what was what was this whole meeting for? Shout out to the Air Force.
Yeah.
um, so. Yeah, so I do agree with your AI. My only fear is, like you said, the overhype. Like I'm afraid of people blowing it out of proportion and sour making everyone sour to it
Mm-hmm.
because it's being baked into everything, and it is a good tool, and we're still learning how to use it.
Mm-hmm.
But some people are just saying AI to say AI, and I think there's just people behind the scenes. I think
Yeah.
I think they're lying
Yeah,
because you
that's
can't put
part of it
AI in
too.
everything.
The misrepresentation as to what it is. You'd be surprised, or maybe you wouldn't, how many people don't have the same operating definition as
Right.
to what AI is, let alone what it does or what its capability is. And I think that's interesting. In general, in cybersecurity, I think part of the not necessarily problem, but there's like a lexicon specific to the field, and there are things, there are words, that buzzwords that everybody uses or whatever, and then there are some people who just echo those words without knowing the context or anything like that, and so um, that is a little concerning to me, as far as like a misapplication as to what it truly is. But que sera, sera.
See, so my son for the summer, right? So he goes to like I said, he's going to Code Ninjas. He does that once a week. We're thinking about twice a week. But during the
Mhm.
summer, they have camps.
Mhm.
So the first 2 weeks were Roblox camps where he's building games and things of that nature. He's now in his third week, and now he's doing robotics. And
Mhm.
then he'll go back and do Minecraft, advanced modding in Minecraft. And then the
Mhm.
last week is AI. So I was pretty excited about that. I was like, okay,
Nice.
that's great because now he's getting to see it at 9 years old.
Mhm.
And just like I told him when I was nine, I didn't have a computer. Like the internet
Right.
didn't exist when I was 9 years old, and then it came on a disc. And
Yeah.
they're like, on a disc?
Don't even know what the
So
disc is. Did
right,
is it his interest? Like, is he excited about it, or is it because of that
no,
he's
it's
doing it? Okay.
no, it's all him. So because he used to play with the web browser, right? He would play around with HTML and he would change the color, and it was just
Mm.
oh, he just made me so mad. I can't find my cursor because he put it white on white. So I can't fix this. So he asked one day, he was like, "Can you teach me how to write script?" And I was like, "I cannot because Dad is a computer science dropout. So
Mhm.
I can teach you how to secure some things.
Mhm.
However, let's see if there's any businesses in the area." And so it happened to be that one was starting. It was a franchise, and it was
Mhm.
actually opening up in our area. So all
Mhm.
the kids were starting off at Whiteville. So I
Hmm.
was like, okay, you get to come in at ground level. So let's figure
Right.
this out. Let's get you in there. And since then, he loves it. Like he makes Roblox games for him and his friends, which are
Hmm.
way too hard. So that's he can crush them. But like I start playing and he's making fun of me. I'm like I've been gaming for 40 years. All right, like
Yeah. Like,
you
don't judge
make
me,
something
child.
impossible. You know. But so he took off from there, started to love it. So we keep him in it because of his passion, right?
Hmm.
And then if he ever didn't start to like it for whatever reason, we would obviously figure out what that reason is, see if we can resolve it. But I would never force him to do it.
Right.
Um, I don't. It's kind of like sport. I know it's not the same. So I know somebody was already yelling at their radio. It's not the same as sport. However, having a passion to do an extracurricular is
Hmm.
very similar. And I
Yeah.
would never force him to play basketball if he hated basketball. So I would
Right.
never force him to code if he hated coding. And I
I
think you know your child, right? So you would
yeah.
know if they're like, I'm not feeling this.
Love the fact that the interest that he had wasn't necessarily in line with what your expertise was, but you didn't let that be a limitation
Right.
or try to force him down, hey, but be interested in this, because this is what I talked to you. It was let me find some resources to support where your interests lie. And I think that's so important. For me growing up, it wasn't computers or technology or anything like that. It was just reading. And so my mom took me to the library. I got Scholastic Book Fair, I got extra things. And so because I was interested in reading, that curiosity then benefits me now, and it's presenting itself in me researching and wanting to get to the bottom of things. But at the onset, it was just me wanting to read and do whatever. And so I think it's important to encourage children, definitely, but people where they are, where their interests are. And you never know what doors those open, and what paths those lead you down.
I think we're a different generation.
Mm.
So I think the generation before us, they were cool, but I think
They all
they were cool. But yeah, I think we have a little bit more of the curiosity
right.
in things that are outside of the doctor, lawyer, nurse, right? That seemed to be the trek for the generation.
So, one thing I'll give credit to the generation above us is that they, at least for me, I'm not going to speak for everybody,
Right.
afforded us the freedom to have that curiosity.
Yeah.
Because I think sometimes when people are so busy with the task at hand, that's all they're trying to do. They're just trying to survive or do whatever. So, like, I know my parents, the hard work that they put in is what gave me the freedom to be imaginative and go off and do whatever. Now, there are some things that they probably could have done better. Not my parents, but like the generation above. But one of the things that they did do that I am very grateful for is trying to give us what they didn't have. And so, because they took the brunt of so many of those things, I now have the freedom to be like, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do this instead. And
Yeah.
they might have had the option before, but I don't think it was something that was presented to them. Like as kind of like Juneteenth is coming up in a couple days, right? I think of if someone was born into slavery, this is going to be a dramatic thing, but still,
It's about to get deep. I can't wait.
someone was born into slavery, their parents were slaves, their parents' parents were slaves, it's all they've ever known. I can't fault them for not expecting anything else because it's all they were ever exposed to. Now, if someone on June 18th of what was it, 1865 was like, one of these days I'm going to be free, and the person who all they've ever been exposed to is slavery, and they say, you might want to have a backup plan because that ain't gonna happen. I identify with the person who goes, I don't care how it's always been. This is where I think it should be. This is what I want to do. This is what I'm going to work towards. I identify with that person, but I respect the other person who is limited by what they've seen, by what they know. Um, and don't know how to encourage the person. They think that them saying, hey, prepare for the worst and whatever else is a safety, is an encouragement, because sometimes hope can be debilitating. Like when you expect more and then you never get it. So that could have been that person's attempt at protecting and doing best by. But then it's also still important to continue that, and it kind of circles back to Black Girls Hack in that exposure is so important. Exposure to ideas, exposure to people who are doing different things, just so even if it's not on the grandest level, you know, but people who are just trying, it's important because that can be the seed or the spark to then, like your child, they see that and now they add to it. That's enough fuel for me to get to the next level. And so I feel like I'm kind of thing, but it's, you've heard those quotes when they say, I'm my ancestors' wildest dreams or what have you. I'm always, or at least I try to be mindful of the fact that now I feel like I'm soaring, but it's because someone planted a seed, the tree grew, someone was a branch, someone was a nest, someone, you know what I'm saying? I'm very grateful and aware of all that it took to get me to where I am. And I think that's also important for as we continue to then support others, is that I don't have to do everything for you, for your child. You don't have to say, I'm going to teach you how to do this, that, and the other. You just have to give them the opportunity. And so, anyway, that was a, but
That
to
was
come back
great.
to the, I'm definitely appreciative of the opportunities that I've been given. And I want to make sure that we equip with as many people as possible to build off of that and then present opportunities for their future generations as well. Um, so that we don't drop the ball, we keep it rolling.
Absolutely. No, that's great. And it's a great perspective to put on it. So shout out to Generation X and the boomers.
Right. They did what they could in the time that they could do it. I'm about to
Right.
do more. Thank you.
And shout out to Pizza Hut for Book It. So that's why I was curious in reading because I wanted to get those free
Ah,
Crystal Pan pizzas.
got you.
Yours was curiosity, mine was greed.
Incentives.
But no, so before, because I would be remiss if I didn't go to the everything else before I let you go. So shout out to the organization, the Black Girls Hack. I'm glad that we were able to discuss what your organization does, a lot about its founding as well as the current initiatives and the future of it, right? Like so, SquadCon coming up, and then how people can support you. But I also have to talk to you about what are you doing outside of jest, right? Outside of your full-time job and your full-time job.
Right.
When you do have time for yourself, what do you do to whether it be unwind or relax or get your own personal space? Just what do you do to recharge?
It varies. If there have been back to back to back weeks where it's like from dusk till dawn, on the weekend, I do nothing. I just lay
Gotcha.
like a vegetable, which makes me think of Pretty Woman. She's like, lean like broccoli or something. Anyway, I read. There was a time where I had ventured, I guess, away from reading for fun, and it was just reading to learn, which is fun, but sometimes that can still lead to burnout. So I've renewed my interest and joy in just books, physical books. This makes me happy to see, and this is just like a fraction of the books that I have. I love having books around the house, things that I haven't read yet, things that I aspire to read. I run. And I only say that because I'm not like, Usain Bolt or anything. I'm in a couple of Nike Run Club challenges. I go outside, I see the sun, and that helps physically and mentally. And I like being around my family and friends. Some of them more than others, let me tell you. But for the most part, my family recharges me. Uh, I just laugh and exist. Now, and I also travel. Yeah, I'm trying to travel more. I want to be one of those, bad and bougie people who are just like, what are you doing? Ah, I'm going to Acapulco for the weekend. Not quite there yet, but yeah.
No, that's amazing. So yeah, I used to travel a lot before the pandemic, and that kind of slowed down. So we're trying to get our feet back underneath us, right? Do
Hmm.
more traveling now that the majority of the world's restrictions have been lessened. But yeah, the Nike Run Club. So is it you challenging other people, or is it like people you know, or is it just you're just on leaderboards, like just crushing
Yes.
people, like?
People I know. So, okay, I'm in two groups. One is with immediate family, and it was
Okay,
like, we've been talking, hey, you've been saying that you're gonna do this. Yeah. So they were like, put some money on it. You need to do it. And so that's the family chat group. And then there's another one with some BGH members actually, and that one's more just for bragging rights. There are two people in there who are, I'm just gonna say, older than me, who soundly beat me every single month. It doesn't matter what it is. Our goal is 40 miles. They'll knock that bug out in 2 days. And I'm like, what are you doing? Excuse me that I have to sit down and work. But anyway, it's fun and a healthy source of competition.
so no,
Hmm.
that's great. Yeah, I missed that actually. Like I haven't done one of those in a long time because I well, from the crib.
Listen, if you are competitive, I'll let you join this so you could beat them. I need to bring in an ace.
Got you, guys. Maybe I like we'll talk about it. I'm retired, all right. Like
Okay.
I don't run 80 miles a month or 100 or whatever they had us right now. I think
Eek.
it was I think it was yeah it was like 80. That's why my feet. are jacked up. No, so that's great, and because the reason I asked is because I like people to see another perspective. Because
Hmm.
I think as people come kind of through the pipeline, they do the same not necessarily bad practices or bad habits that we had, but like
Hmm.
you, I stopped reading for fun. It was all about study. Either I'm studying for a cert, or I'm trying to
Hmm.
do some research on a product, or I'm trying to save the world and do something with a new product. And I kind of
Hmm.
fell in a rabbit hole again with AI, and then I was like, well, what about reading anything else? Like I'm just
Hmm.
reading white papers and things of that nature. So it's good to take that mental break, and I like to find out what people who are even busier than me
Hmm.
find to unwind, because I know it will help people who are trying to get into cybersecurity, right? Or
Yeah.
or make that jump. So I only have two more questions for you. So
Okay.
question number one, I forgot to ask you.
Hmm.
If someone is looking to break into cybersecurity and they're a little bit older, right? A little bit more seasoned.
Hmm.
Uh, is there a track for them as well? Is there any particular programs for people who are trying to cross into cybersecurity that you guys may have, or is there any specific paths you would point them towards?
Yeah. First, I'd let people know that that's the lion's share of our membership. I think a lot of times people hear the girls part of Black Girls Hack and they assume that it's all like little children. But the lion's share of our organization is that like 25 to 45 age
Oh,
range.
okay.
So come one, come all. I too was a career changer. You are welcome. All of the resources and things that we have available is open to everybody. Tanisha always says, as long as you're not a jerk. So if you're just now getting started or you've had a full career in another role and you like, what's this cybersecurity thing about, and you want to get involved, come on in.
That's
Um,
that's amazing.
the
Yeah.
one thing that I will add though is I don't want anyone to think that it's hey, I made the decision to be in cybersecurity. I took this one class, I went to this one conference, and now I'll have a job. That could happen for some people. Lightning does strike. Miracles happen. But I also want to be, I guess, responsible in letting folks know that it is a process, it's a journey, and it's not always a one size fits all. We're here to support and aid however we can. If it's training that you need, we'll provide the training. If it's mock interview practice that you need, we'll provide that to you too. If it's, feedback on your resume, we'll do that as well. If it's soft skills, like you're smart, but don't nobody want to talk to you, we'll help you with that too. But I say that to say, even with all that, it's still a process. It's still a journey. And it's a combination of one of my favorite things. I was at sports professionals thing, and someone had asked, is it who you know or what you know? And he said, it's who you know, it's what you know, it's who knows you and what they know about you. So some people I think are really good about being a little myopic and focusing on one thing and be like, okay, they said I need to get a cert. Here are all the certs. Da 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 da. But then they don't balance it. They never network. They don't tell people what it is that they're trying to do. They're not visible. And so again, we're here to support, and we want you to be as holistic, I guess. Our support to be holistic for you, the person, but I also want to make sure that people know that too. It's not a you know, one size fits all or magic pill or anything. There is still work involved. We're here to work alongside you, but it's work. And even once you get there, it's still work because you got to maintain and it's ever evolving. Now, that's something that I like about the field. I'm not going to get bored. Something's always happening, things are changing, and I like that. But for some people, if you're just trying to get in, fit in, and stay, you might want to just take that under advisement.
So you're good at this. So you
Oh, thank
answered my second
you.
question. I was going to say what keeps you in the field. So you answered
Yeah.
it. So no, that's awesome. So thank you for again for coming to the podcast and for sharing your expertise, and then giving us a view into not only the organization Black Girls Hack, but then also what you do within the organization, being the COO. So I definitely want to get you as well as other members of the team on here again.
Mhm.
I want to, because I believe one of the members also works in collaboration with Weesis, so I definitely want to
Yes.
get them on the podcast sooner rather than later, and I have a little bit more courage, right? Reach out, like, hey,
Yeah.
I would like to get you on the podcast,
Yeah.
and then I'll send this video to them, like, hey, I had
Yes,
use you
Dr.
for
Elise McGowan. I'm gonna call her out by name so she knows it's you, homie. You're up next.
Got you. So that's perfect. So yeah, I'll definitely ping her as well.
Hmm.
But hey, Dr. Gowan. So I hear you'd
Yeah.
be a good point of contact. But no, again, thank you for your time, and thank you for everything that you're doing in the field. So not only with your specific demographic, but just in general, right? To help build that diversity and to grow the cybersecurity field, because it's not only about us growing in the field, but also evolving the field as well.
Right.
Because the bad guys are, sometimes a step ahead, so we need to be
Yeah, they
two
don't
steps
care.
ahead. Yeah. But again, thank you for your time. I'm going to make sure I plug all the things within the description. Do the quick rigmarole. Please like, share, subscribe to the podcast. We're trying to hit 500 by the end of the month, 1,000 by the end of the year, so we can get on more talent as well onto the podcast, and then just share it with more people. So we're just trying to broaden the horizons. Check out all of our articles. There's an article for every episode. There's 5 episodes a week. And those all get rolled into a newsletter we call the Weekly Rundown, just like the last episode of the month. It kind of gives you a quick summary of everything, plus any stray articles I may have written in between time, or events I may have attended. Just consume all the things in all the places and just leave us some feedback is what we're going for. And if you're trying to get a hold of me, you gave me a person, I'm at RyRy Security Guy. That's RYRY Security Guy. You can find me on LinkedIn, Clubhouse, Twitter, TikTok, LinkedIn, Medium. My footprint is way too big, but I have to do stuff for the podcast. And where can they find you, Rebecca?
Look, I am everywhere you want to be, except not really, because I do want to minimize that footprint as
Yeah.
much as possible. Trying to find a balance, right? But I am on LinkedIn. Don't look for me on Instagram because that's personal. I'm on Twitter, and yeah, I feel like after you listed all of those things, I'm like, I might not be doing enough. I need
It's a many
to
places.
expand. We do have a podcast, Cyber Things podcast on Spotify, Apple, whatever. And that's a lot of the times it's episodes from our Bring a Hacker to Work Day where we have insights as to folks, kind of like a day in the life as to who they are, what they do. So feel free to check that out. Also, yeah, I guess I need to start making a list. I should have written down all the things that you just said and see which of those I want to expand to. But don't look for me. Look for Black Girls Hack. BlackGirlsHack.org. Go to our website. Check it out. I mean, if you think I'm all right and you want to converse or be connected, then feel free to do that on LinkedIn as well.
Definitely continue to tune in to all the things, all the episodes. Hit up Black Girls Hack and just reach out to them and support and jump in there and learn some new skills and jump into the cybersecurity field by way of all of their classes and conventions and all the other great initiatives they have going on. Yeah, stay safe, stay secure.